The Neptunia Rebirth trilogy finally is coming to the Nintendo Switch. In this video, we're looking at Hyperdimension Neptunia Rebirth 1. It is comparable to the PC version and the upcoming English release of Rebirth 1 Plus on the PS4. It is different to Neptunia Reverse or Reverse, you know, that PS5 port. So yeah, that's its own thing, just so you know. I bought the limited edition from PlayAsia. I never managed to get the original Rebirth 1 limited edition for the Vita back in the day, so yeah, this is now filling that gap in my collection. I'm going to show you the limited edition first, and then we'll move on to the game. I played the game on both the Nintendo Switch 1 and 2, so you can see what it's like on both systems. You may be not exactly surprised to hear that it runs way better on the Switch 2. So here's the limited edition. This is a PlayAsia exclusive, and it's limited to 2,000 copies. I thought these were going to be the same size as the Vita limited editions from Idea Factory, but no, it's actually much smaller, and it's very comparable to other Idea Factory, East Asia Soft, and PlayAsia collaborations. Think along the lines of Moreo Crystal or Genkai Toki 7 Pirates. But it's not just the size that's similar, it's also how the construction is and how the materials feel. I think that's okay, at least they won't fall over when you stand them up, unlike the Idea Factory LEs. It comes with a sticker with the regular cover image. The box art shows the four goddesses in their transformed state. Same image as used in the original Vita LE. The game's logo is embossed. You don't really see that sort of thing with Neptunia, so that's interesting to see. There's Switch branding, which is very evident. Anybody used to Idea Factory LEs will know that they don't really put any branding on their boxes, so yeah, interesting to see if you're not used to that. On one of the sides, it actually has a serial number, EAS-SW047. I'm guessing that stands for East Asia Soft, and then SW is Switch, and then the number is perhaps the unique identifier of the game, or maybe the limited edition. The back has no screenshots. For reasons unknown, it's just Neptune and Blonde back there. Strangely empty almost. The contents is listed on there, so you can obviously see what's inside. And we also have a holographic thing there that says what number the LE is. I'm always hoping to get number 69. I guess 693 is close enough for now. The innards just kind of slide out. Unfortunately, it is a bit tricky to get it all back in. But hey, at least the game is actually in the box. If PlayAsia can do it with such a small box, what's Idea Factory's excuse? There's a mini case. PlayAsia likes to make these sort of things and put them in there. I like them too. They're kind of fun. They can be a keychain if you're into that. But I like that they're functional and you can actually put the cartridges in there. There's a card with the LE number on it. We've already discussed the number. The art is actually the cover art of the original PS3 game. The back is printed too, which is a nice touch. The art book has several CGs in there and, various images, no real text or anything. If you're a Neptunia veteran, it's all stuff you've seen before. The quality is good. I'm not a super big fan of, those hardcover books that are little but have super thick covers. And usually they're like crappy as well. So it's like they don't even look or feel that good. So with, soft cover art books, at least, it's not a pain to flip through. And yeah, there's less likely for any quality problems to appear. There's Switch Joy-Con stickers. They are sparkly, which is interesting. I think they look much better in real life than they do on camera, so I don't know, maybe it doesn't really translate. There's acrylic character stands. I'm actually growing to like these more and more over the years. It's a fun little thing you can display, without having like a massive figure or something like on your desk. Just like a little thing here and there. That's kind of cool. There's also a CD with the soundtrack. I guess what else would be on there? It's one of those slimline cases, which I haven't seen in a long time. The art on the CD serves as the back cover, because with these kind of cases, there's just nothing back there to facilitate a back cover. I actually like the look of it. It also feels kind of interesting. The back has like a textured, but I don't know, it doesn't feel like a normal matte cover or finish that gives you like goosebumps or something. I also like that it has a different image on the cover. It's not just the same image used over and over again. The game itself has the standard cover on it that we already know with Nep, Iffy, and Kampa doing a jump. I think the use of art on the inside is pretty good with how it's positioned and everything. Nothing too cluttered. I like the manual. It tells you all the basics. It's in full color. I like the design. Yeah, a rare thing these days. The CD sound quality is interesting. There's a few strange things going on, and it's not it's not like it sounds like it's low bitrate MP3s or anything, but it's more volume related. There's several songs that are completely brick-walled and squashed sounding. Others, mainly quiet songs, are very dynamic and open, and, that's nothing unusual. But for some reason, they didn't get the levels right. Normally you'd have the loudest peak at just below 1 eclipse, right? But for some reason, it's anywhere from 3 to almost 6 decibels to quiet, and I don't really get that, especially when you have brick-walled songs. As you may know, I don't like the practice of brick-walling, but whatever, it's a thing. I accept that it exists, and it's an artistic choice, whatever. And obviously it's done to make the song sound as loud as possible, but why make it quieter again? Like, what's the point of that? There's quiet songs that sound just as loud or even louder than the loudly mixed songs. So you just end up riding the volume knob in the opposite way logic dictates. Oh, here's a quiet song, better turn the volume down. You'd have a better listening experience if someone just went into Audacity, hit Ctrl-A, and used the amplify effect. I wonder what the logic behind all that was. Anyway, that aside, I like the limited edition. It comes with interesting stuff, and it doesn't feel exactly like what you've gotten with past Idea Factory LEs, which is nice for the people who, obviously have those. The small size is actually fine since it's well done, and the quality is good. I've always been pleased with IF, East Asia Soft, and Play Asia collaborations, and this falls exactly in line with what I've seen in the past. Let's take a look at the game and see how it runs on both the Nintendo Switch and Switch 2. On the Switch, Rebirth 1 runs okay. It's very often 30 FPS or lower. I say it's okay because the original Vita game ran 30 FPS-ish, so this is comparable. The game is not capped at 30 FPS though, because occasionally the game will go slightly above that number. It is 60 frames per second in the menus and 2D cutscenes. On the Switch 2, things are a bit different. The game runs almost perfectly. 60 frames per second almost all of the time. There are a few stutters here and there when, things load, for example, or when you're transitioning between running around and then going into battle. It's not really that intrusive. Tons of games do that. It's massively more enjoyable on the Switch 2 than on the original console. Also, while I've only played the very beginning of the Switch port, I did notice that on some dungeons on the Switch 2, it won't quite reach 60 frames per second. It's still way better than how it is on Switch 1, but yeah, a game like this really shouldn't have any slowdowns on this type of hardware, but yeah, I guess it looks like they still can't manage to get this game optimized correctly. It's not really a big deal when you're playing, but you just do notice like, hey, it's slowing down a little bit. The game's PlayStation Vita origins are very apparent. Certain graphics and things like that are very low res, not to mention all the pre-rendered cutscenes. But that's not really unique to the Switch version, as this is also the case on the PC. On the Switch 2, this difference in resolution is even more apparent, as you may imagine, but it does look like the game runs at 4K or something higher than 1080p at least. Don't expect any anti-aliasing or anything like that. You'll see jagged edges. Everything else about the game on both Switches works fast and snappy, like, loading levels up and saving the game. Saving the game sounds kind of simple, but everyone who's used a PS3, 4, or 5 knows how intrusive and slow that save game menu thing can be. Another topic we need to take a quick look at is DLC. I went to the Steam Store DLC page and compared that with what the Switch port comes with. The only thing missing on the Switch seems to be survival mode for the Colosseum. Maybe it's mixed in with something else. Like I said, I haven't played that far into the Switch version, so if you have the Colosseum unlocked, maybe leave a comment if you can see the survival missions there or not. But wherever the case may be, all the really important DLC, like the characters, are there, so that's good. Just so you know, even though not all DLC is available right away, if you have everything turned on and use some of the DLC characters and the weapons that you get, you're going to be really overpowered and everything is super easy. So, if you just want to have a little bit of a challenge, maybe just leave the DLC turned off, at least for a little bit, just to kind of get a flavor of what the game is supposed to feel like. But yeah, that's that. In the end, it's Neptunia Rebirth 1 on the Switch, which, generally is a good thing. It runs similarly to the Vita version, so not that great, but still good enough given the turn-based gameplay. But it's way nicer on the Switch too. It almost runs as good as the PC version with just a few non-60 FPS moments. The higher frame rate also makes it nicer and easier to time your hits against enemies in the overworld. Switching back and forth, I noticed that I would mistime my strikes all the time, and then, yeah. Anyways, plus it's just nicer to play when everything's smooth and fluid, right? And you don't have that thing where you have 60 FPS menus and 30 FPS gameplay, and switching back and forth kind of feels weird. So yeah, that's Neptunia Rebirth 1 for the Switch and Switch 2. I hope you found that helpful or interesting. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.